and welcome to another episode of The Demon's Den, your stop for horror history, stories, and more. I'm your host Hex, and I'd like to wish you all a happy Pride Month. If you don't agree with that, well, you can burn it. In this episode, we will discuss the terrifying world of curses. Through cinema, we've seen cursed videotapes, buttons, other random objects, and even people. But what are curses? Where do they come from? How can they impact your life? And more importantly, how do you break them? So, grab your lucky rabbit's foot and leave your religious beliefs at the door, because we are diving in. So, starting off, what is a curse? A curse is a supernatural or magical utterance, incantation, or ritual that is believed to bring harm, misfortune, or punishment upon someone or something. It's a form of negative or malevolent magic that is intended to inflict suffering, bad luck, or a specific consequence to occur on the target. So that brings upon the question, where did curses even come from? The origins of curses can be traced back to ancient civilizations and their belief systems. In many ancient societies, people attributed the events and circumstances of their lives to actions and whims of supernatural beings, gods, or spirits. Curses were seen as a means to invoke the power of these supernatural entities to carry out one's desires for revenge or for justice. In various mythologies and religious traditions, curses were believed to possess an inherent power or energy that could be directed towards a person, place, or object. They were often associated with specific rituals, spells, or verbal formulas, which were believed to channel the forces of this malevolent energy. Curses could be cast by individuals who possessed knowledge of magic, or by those who were believed to have a special connection to the divine or supernatural realms, such as priests, priestesses, and more popular, witches. Curses were often employed as a means of seeking retribution or justice for a perceived wrongdoing. They were used to punish enemies, rivals, or those who had committed crimes. Curses could also be used to protect or defend oneself from one's community from perceived threats or malevolent forces. Different cultures had their own unique beliefs and practices regarding curses. For example, in ancient Egypt, curses were believed to have significant power and were often inscribed on objects or written on papyrus to be placed in tombs or burial sites to protect the deceased or to deter thieves. King Tut's sword, for example, has a curse written on the hilt, which reads, "I am the one who can cause great sorrow." In Greek mythology, curses were often associated with gods and goddesses, such as the Furies, who were believed to inflict curses as a form of divine justice. Throughout history, curses have been featured in various literary works, such as epic poems, folklore, and legends. These stories often portrayed curses as powerful and enduring, capable of affecting individuals or even entire generations. They were depicted as forces that cannot be easily reversed or escaped, leading to tragic consequences for those who fell under their influence. So, curses can be placed on people and on things, and the process is vastly different for both. Also, when I say things, I don't just mean a chair or something like an old-looking knife. Yeah, I mean, those things can be cursed, but I'm talking like houses, sports teams, cities, even numbers have fallen victim to curses. The process for cursing a human is a whole lot longer and harder than just cursing an object, and it's a hell of a lot more personal as well. Like, you really gotta have a hankering for your target to suffer if you want to curse them, instead of just like cursing a button like in Drag Me to Hell. Now, look, I'm going to explain how a curse is set and how to break it. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I advising anybody to curse someone. This shit can be fatal. not only to the one whom the curse is intended for, but also for the caster. Yeah, you see, curses are funny like that. They have a very high probability of boomeranging back to someone and just, well, smacking you right in your flapjack. It's not worth it, especially when finding peace is always an option. Alright, so before we get started, I do want to just say this is not a how-to guide. It's more of like an episode of how it's made, but just with the non-physical. What I'll be describing is some extremely basic stuff in the cursing world. Remember in Lilo and Stitch, where Lilo is shaking up that jar full of spoons, and then looks over to Koba Bubbles and says, "My friends need to be punished"? Yeah, that's the way I'll be describing. So when cursing a person, a few things are needed. One is intent. You need to think about what you actually want to happen when you're doing this. Second, you'll need a jar that'll act as a container for all of your intent. Then, just like the movies, you need something that represents the person you want cursed. It can be a doll, something that belongs to them, or even their hair. Then you throw that thing in a jar and add mediums to it. In this case, a medium is something that represents negativity. These mediums have different meanings too. Like if you were to throw some red pepper flakes in the jar, then the target would become angry. Poisonous plants would make them sick. The traditional pin method would inflict pain. Some people have even pissed in the jars to gain domination over the target. Keep in mind, when you're gonna want to protect yourself with some kind of an amulet or a spell of protection to keep any of this from coming back to, to bite you in the ass. Then all you gotta do is seal it up, shake it like a possessed nanny while you focus your intent, and then hide that sucker. Hide it somewhere where no one will be able to find it in a cool, dark area. And that's the long and short of it. The curse could begin to take hold, or to take effect, anywhere from a day to a month later. That brings us to breaking the curse, and it can happen in a few ways. So, the caster can break the curse by smashing the jar, removing their intent, and then tossing all that mess in the trash. Making sure to smash the jar in a bag to keep any of the mediums from spilling out, especially if there was some kind of a liquid in there. Smudging after with sage is recommended, but it's not required. However, the target of this bad magic can break the curse that has been placed on them, and in more than one way. First off, they can take a salt bath. So, biblically, salt has always been used to symbolize purification, and scientifically, it's used to sanitize because of its antifungal properties. So, the cursed would then run a hot bath, pour some sea salt, Epsom salt, or Himalayan salt in there since it's the least processed, add a little sprinkling of baking soda, and then recite their intentions before stepping in the bath. This can be done as an incantation or like a prayer. They would then soak for half an hour, hop on out, recite their intentions again or the prayer again, and just let it cool on a windowsill and you got yourself a curse-free person. Another very well-known way to get rid of curses or just overall bad energy is through smudging. Smudging in the spiritual sense is a ceremony to cleanse and purify someone's soul of negativity or even a place or a thing. This can be done using items that symbolize the purification of negative energy. For example, using something like a black tourmaline crystal that wards off negative energy. Meditate while holding it and focus on what you want protection from. Another common smudging item is sage, believed by healers since negativity was, well, conceptualized. Sage acts as a conduit for good energy and restores the flow of positive energy. Then, the same with the bath, recite your intentions and you're all set. This next one removes that shit and sends it back to sender. It's called a mirror box. So you get yourself a small box like a small jewelry box or an Altoids tin. Then you glue a small mirror to the inside of the box on the lid. Be careful not to look in the mirror. Your energy will be trapped in the box and we don't want that. If an accidental glance does occur, just smudge with some white sage and pass your mirror through the smoke to purify it. Then get something that represents the caster. A doll, a picture, their DNA, even their name written on a piece of paper works. Then place that in the box facing the mirror. Then close it up and burn a black candle on top of it. Now you may be asking, why a black candle? Well, black candles have always been used by healers and Wiccans for the removal of negative energy, so it's kind of just the tool. Let it burn until it goes out on its own. It needs to go out on its own. And then recite your intentions. This time, however, instead of releasing the curse, like saying, I don't want that shit anymore, you throw it back at your caster. So you can say something like, Sender of evil, menacing foe, after this spell, you reap what you sow. This mirror reflects the will you send. My hands are clean, my spirit will mend. With this spell, my soul is free, and as I will, so mote it be. This last one is called a candle ceremony. So you gotta get yourself another black candle, then you stand it up in a big old bowl and you fill it up with water. You fill it up till it's about an inch away from the candle's wick, and then you sprinkle some of that Epsom salt, sea salt, or Himalayan salt around the candle. And then you focus positive energy on the water, imbuing the bowl with good vibes. Then you light the candle and speak your intentions. Let the candle go out when it hits the water. Then you break the candle in half, bury it outside in a shallow hole, and then pour the water out in a circle around the buried candle. Now, if all else fails, then you gotta get yourself someone who practices magic and Wiccan traditions. They'll know how to get that bad juju off of you. It's kind of their job. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Demon's Den. Join us next time for more spookums. Until next time, stay safe, lock your doors, and remember, getting cursed is not the same as getting cursed out.